Cuckoo, directed by Tillman Singer, is about a girl named Gretchen who is sent to a resort in the German Alps by her family. She travels to this resort with her father. Her father is seeing a woman who is not Gretchen's biological mother. Her mother is back home somewhere. Gretchen's father and this woman he's seen have a small child with them who is mute. I don't remember if she's deaf, but she is mute and she communicates with Gretchen through sign language. This resort is operated by Dan Stevens, who uses a thick German accent. I'm not an accent expert. I think occasionally his accent slips in and out, but other than that, I think he did a great job. On a surface level, the story of this film is about a young adolescent girl who is trying to find her way through life, but she needs some guidance, and that's where Dan Stevens and his German accent come in. His character comes off like some sort of resort meditation guru who counsels people. He also has this weird thing that he does. He pulls out a flute and he plays it during the most random moments. And at first I assumed he only did this during stressful moments where he needed to find a way to meditate. But that's not what he's doing. What I think he's doing is he's calling upon this creature that he created in a lab because he's a madman who wants to play God. The creature that Dan Stevens created is a woman that has this special ability. When the creature screams, its sound waves travel through the air, and anyone who is caught in the path of those sound waves are stuck in a time loop. While the victim is trapped in this time loop, repeating the last few seconds of their past, the creature slowly approaches, surrendering the victim unconscious. Once the victim passes out and the creature gets down on its hands and knees and somehow gets some semen-like looking goo on its hands, it then takes that and tries to impregnate the victim, who is usually a woman. Matter of fact, all of the victims are women because its main objective is to impregnate women. And so therefore the victim will give birth to a creature baby, and once that creature is born, it shall roam the earth, spawning on more creatures until they take over civilization. Then there's another story about this guy who used to be a police officer. I think he got let go because he mentally went off the deep end. He goes to the resort looking for the thing that killed his wife, which leads him to Gretchen, who leads him to Dan Stevens, that is, dun da da da, the man responsible for creating the thing that killed his wife. During all of this madness, the little girl who is mute is being treated at a hospital under the care of Dan Stevens, who is up to no good. He is trying to turn the little girl into one of his creatures, and Gretchen tries to save her, and when she does, the ex-police officer wants to kill the little girl because he believes that she is one of the creatures now. Gretchen doesn't want to believe that because she formed a bond, a connection with the little girl while at the resort. At a certain point in the film, it is revealed to the audience. I think Gretchen already knew this. It was just hard for her to accept the fact that her mom, her biological mom, is dead. So the entire time while she's crying and making these phone calls to her mom, she knows her mom can't answer the phone because she's dead. And so that's why all of her calls go straight to the answering machine. Once the little girl gets to know Gretchen and who she truly is, she forms a bond with her. And one day, out of the blue, the little girl calls Gretchen's mom and leaves a beautiful, heartfelt message. Once Gretchen discovers the message through her father selling their old home and giving Gretchen all of the tapes from the voicemail machine, she springs into action, realizing that the little girl is in danger, and so she goes out of her way to let the little girl know that she sees her and she hears her, and that's what causes the final moment where the little girl puts her trust in Gretchen and walks out with her to confront the ex-police officer and Dan Stevens through the power of love. During the final showdown, the ex-police officer and Dan Stevens with his German accent have their guns drawn at each other while Gretchen and the little girl are caught in between them. It is revealed that the little girl has become one of the creatures, and so she uses her power to temporarily subdue the ex-officer and Dan Stevens while she and Gretchen make their escape. Dan Stevens and the ex-officer end up killing each other, or so you think. You really don't know because it all happened off screen. All we heard were gunshots. I can assume they probably both missed each other even at point blank range, because the movie even points out how terrible of a shot both of these guys are. And so now, in conclusion, the conclusion is the main creature is dead, and so now this little girl is out there in the world, and so then the question becomes, will the little girl do what she is programmed to do, or will she remain as her true self, which is a kind, innocent human being? On a surface level, all of this crazy stuff is rather silly when you look at it. When you look at it just as it is without the context of the story, it's all a bunch of bonkers, silly stuff. But when you have that context, that story, explaining why all of these silly images and scenarios exist, it all makes sense to me. It all works in the grander scheme of things. I'm sure there are quite a few things I missed, but this is my overall takeaway from this mind-boggling experience. Thank you, and good day.